What would you say you do here?
It's the Signal Chords, home of the Underground podcast. A podcast dedicated to up-and-coming bands, labels, artists, and more. Plug in and join your host, Brad Nunnery, as he dives deep into what the future of music has to hold and discover something new along the way. What else do you have to do?
Hey, this is Ricky Rochelle, and you're listening to Signal Chords, home of the Underground podcast.
Your room is ready, it's time to check in. The lampshade's bleeding cause it's made of skin. The island's dangerous, so please stay here and enjoy the extra head in your beer. Welcome to Cannibal Island Resort. Everyone's hungry to cut your trip short. We're happy to serve you at the food court. Welcome to Cannibal Island Resort.
That's Cannibal Island Resort from our friend Ricky Rochelle. Many thanks to Ricky for recording that promo for us. Really do appreciate it, man. It comes off his new album, Cannibal Island Resort, the same name. Definitely check it out. It's up on all streaming platforms. If you want to find out more about Ricky Rochelle, you can always visit him at Ricky Rochelle on all social media platforms. You can find out about him and his other band, the Young Rochelles. Really killer pop punk band and bands for you to check out. Highly recommended. Okay? All right, good stuff. What's up, everybody? My name is Brad Nunnery. Welcome to Signal Chords, home of the Underground podcast, Season 2, Episode 10, presented by my good friend Jeff Small over at 1603 Designs. My guest tonight is Tony Connor. He is the front man for Twentytwo, a really killer skate punk band based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They recently just signed a record deal with Jumpstart Records, and they are currently working on their first full-length album with a record label. Looking forward to it. They're going to be recording at the end of the year. I'm going to talk to Tony all about the making of that and the progress of it. We're going to talk to him about the brand new song Surrounded, shows that they got coming up, history of the band, a lot more. So stick around. We got plenty more. But for right now, here is a sample of their latest song. It's called Surrounded. It's on Signal Chords, home of the Underground podcast.
Feeling naked and exposed, and no one knows how red face you feel. All your cards on the table, but you wouldn't give to just turn off the constant wave of attention when you're surrounded. When you're surrounded. When you're surrounded, one look and I know not okay. Don't take my hand, don't hear my words, no way.
Tony, what's up, man? Thank you so much for joining the podcast. How you doing today?
Good, Brad. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. It's been a I guess an interview in the making. I know we've had some kind of rescheduling and all that kind of stuff, but I'm finally super excited to talk to you now with the big news that we found out this past week with you guys signing to Jumpstart Records and all that kind of stuff. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into the new songs, the new LP, the debut LP that you guys are working on towards the end of the year, and just everything going on. But I wanted to start things off, and not to be creepy or that I'm a stalker, but I did notice on your personal page you do have a son, so happy Father's Day to you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was everything it needed to be. We stayed home, and I made sure of that. So,
yeah, I mean, I think going out for Father's Day. I mean, I'm a father too, so the last thing we want to do is like fight crowds or fight, go into a restaurant and try to fight everything. We'd just rather grill at home and just take it easy, right?
that's right. I'm just trying to hang, just trying to have a nice family day.
Yeah. Now, have you gotten your son into music yet, or is he fluent on the bass or the guitar yet? How old is he?
So I think he's going to end up probably being a drummer or some kind of percussionist.
Nice.
But he likes to hang. He definitely knows some of our songs.
Okay.
One of our songs, to me, reflects how I feel about him. So he kind of knows that one is his song. But yeah, he's come to a couple shows and he's bopping his head. He's got his headphones on so he doesn't hurt his ears, and it's a good time.
Now, how does mom and dad feel that he wants to play drums? You know, when you eventually get him a drum set and he wants to play in the house, so like, how is that are you gonna give him like a separate room to where it's all padded and you don't have to hear it?
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
how's that gonna work?
to dream, you know, that would
Yeah.
be the dream. But yeah, I mean, hey, if he really wants to, I'm not going to say no. You know, I'll find a way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I have 3 girls. Unfortunately, not I shouldn't say unfortunately, but trying to get them into music and get them into, you know, the stuff that I listen to. I've got one daughter. She was bobbing her head. She's like, I really like this song, and it was a song by Fear Factory. It was like a metal song, and I'm like, what? Like, you like this song? It was just like a weird random, you know, driving them on the way to school, and Fear Factory came on, and she was like, what's the name of this song? And I don't even remember the name of the song. I was just so floored that
I was just going to ask you.
Yeah, it was off Demanufacture. I know that because it's like the older stuff. I like the older Fear Factory stuff. But yeah, there's every once in a while she'll surprise me. The oldest one, not too much. She likes all the new current stuff, but we'll get them there. But hopefully, you know, they pick up an interest in it. You know, so that's the dream. But yeah,
A lot of that happens in retrospect. I mean, you know, I feel that way a lot of like my parents' generation of music. You know, oh yeah, I didn't like it when I was a kid. I'm like, that's, but now I'm like, okay, yeah, it's, you know, it's real.
yeah, it's you know, I just hope they pick it up in some way, form, or fashion, or just appreciate it and all that kind of stuff. That's all you can do. Because, you know, my parents were into it. My uncle was a famous musician and had released a record back out in the 70s and all that kind of stuff. So it's been in my blood. And I guess we can go ahead and start there.
Yeah.
So the band came around, you know, around 2020. You guys released an EP. It's called 505 Palomar Place. But were you guys together before that? Before, you know, were you guys, you know, together for a few years prior to before that release?
So, in a broad sense, yes. Yeah. Myself, Justin, the drummer, and Jason, our one guitar player, we've been in bands for over a decade together. So we were all familiar with that. But then Bryan and Mike, you know, they joined on later. I actually came in as like the last official member on the initial incarnation of the band back in 2019. And I was with a different band, and I kept telling Justin, you know, I really don't have time for it. You know, I'm going to be a father. I got to start, you know, planning for that. And I don't really know if I can handle 2 bands. And then the more and more I heard what was happening, you know, and how it was sounding and how the band I was in prior was kind of getting stagnant at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm in. So yeah. I jumped in and I never looked back with it. So in 2019, I would say late 2019, and then immediately went into the studio to do 505 Palomar Place, and we aim to release it in March of 2020. So right when the pandemic
right around the pandemic. Yeah. Of course, you joined this new band, and automatically it's a pandemic.
Yeah. So everything we had planned like came to a screeching halt, and we had to wait like a year.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, a lot of bands were in the similar, you know, kind of situation that they're working on a new record or whatnot, and it just kind of fell flat, you know, and people had to like kind of figure out, okay, well, we're not playing live shows, we can do this and do that, and everybody had to kind of scramble. But I mean, your situation is a little bit different when you come into a band and you record a record, and then immediately it's a pandemic, and you're like, oh, you know, the future's so uncertain, you know, like what does that do for your mental state, you know?
I mean, mental state, yeah, like we're all still kind of getting over it. But from like a band standpoint, we initially were like, okay, well, how can we turn this around? So we tried to just scramble for, you know, like just basic marketing ideas of what can we do for what is today. Right. And we eventually were just like, you know, we're just going to put it out there and just kind of let that be what it'll be. And when things settle down, we'll just kind of reevaluate at that point. And then once we were able to, we got another guitar player. We ended up writing a whole bunch more new songs. And then we ended up doing the 4 songs that we had just recently released. And now lastly, with the newest song, it's kind of that like final step, and okay, we're ready to move on fully with everything else.
Sure. Yeah, it's I'm sure it's releasing singles here and there and all that kind of stuff, and finally getting over that hump must feel pretty good. And and you guys were making the moves with Jumpstart and Jeremy over there. I'm super excited. Congratulations for signing that deal. There's a lot of really killer bands on that label, and you're in good hands with Title Holder, Bad Planning, You Vandal, Wes Hoffman and Friends. So many really killer bands that we've helped promote here at Signal Chords. And they, I keep in contact with some of them, and they found out I was interviewing you, and they're like, man, these guys rip. I can't wait to listen to the episode. Like, there's a lot of label love, should I say, for the bands that are on that label. And I saw that Bryan was wearing his Wes Hoffman shirt in the promo photo that you guys have. I had that exact same shirt, and I told Bryan that via DM. But it's so cool to see, bands supporting each other and doing their thing, and helping spread the word about the music. So I think that's really cool.
Absolutely, yeah, and definitely, even just for me personally, within the last week, I've gotten a real chance to kind of go through who we're with in that family. So it's really awesome, and I'm pretty pumped to be a part of it. We are very excited to be moving forward with everything. It's something that we've been ready to do for well over a year, and if anything, any new song that we make, we know is a step towards that. And so we're just right now, we're nose to the grindstone. We're writing, we're grinding it out. We're ready to finish it. We're ready to get started on everything and get it out.
Yeah, for sure. Now I might putting the cart before the horse here, but is any of these singles that you've released, like Inside, Outside, Wonder, and any of these songs, these singles, I'm sure Surrounded might be on the new record, or are you writing completely new material for the record?
So I think yes. I think we are writing a whole new album, which, if I'm counting correctly, we have almost half of ready, if not more. Nice. So I know that these next couple weeks and couple months are going to be exciting, to say the least. Especially with the direction that we've been going in. I don't see it slowing down.
That's awesome. And I wanted to ask you, as far as recording and where you're recording and who you're recording with. And one of the reasons why I asked is because 505 Palomar Place was recorded with the legendary gentleman from the Bouncing Souls, Little Pete. Pete had his hands on that EP. Tell us how that all came about and who you guys are using now for this new record. But if you want to just start with Pete and how that all happened, that's really, if you listen to your music, you could tell the influences. It's the Bouncing Souls. It's the Lag Wagons. I heard Rise Against and this latest song. There's a lot of different elements. Just that 90s stuff that I love, and having him be a part of that EP is incredible. And how did that come about, by the way?
So you said Pete is a gentleman, and he absolutely was.
Was he?
Oh, absolutely. He showed us a great time. It was a great weekend. It was a great time. I have nothing bad to say about it.
Right.
Our bass player, Bryan, has been kind of the keystone of our external hand, and like getting everything out, getting our name out, getting anything, so he has just been insane with getting that to be able to do what we're trying to do. And he's one of those guys where he doesn't care if he hears no. I'll try again later. But
yeah,
I think there were some other external variables that I don't remember, but Bryan was the contact for that, and he got us in contact with him. And when they told us, like, yeah, it's got the Bouncing Souls, I'm like, you're joking, like that's
right, yeah, like how Like, is he knocking on every single door and writing 5,000
Yeah.
emails and just counting them and just blowing up his DMs, like, please, please, please? Or did he have connections to where? Because I know he makes surfboards. You know, that's what he does full time. But I didn't know, and I knew he did some stoke for the summer boards, and he did some auctioning and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if he had that connection there to where he had that, you know, hey, listen, remember I made you that board? Can you record my band kind of a deal? Or was it just like, you know, one of those things to where it was just like, you know, blindly, let's just email him and see if he wants to do it. And how do you get him to sign on? Does he hear like a demo, you know, and say, okay, I'll record these guys? Well, how'd that? That's why I'm always curious to find out how that went.
Yeah, and I think it really was just as easy as like, hey, are you available? And he's like, yeah, sure. But, you know, there may have been.
Okay,
you know,
what do we do now? What do we do now?
Yeah, right. And it was okay. Well, we'll book a weekend and we go from there. But yeah, it was a great experience. You know, we got to hang out down at the beach for the weekend, so can't really complain about that.
No, and you're hanging with royalty right there, a little punk rock royalty. That's killer, man. And what are you guys doing for the new record? Who are you guys working with for the new record and all that kind of stuff? And where are you recording that?
So we're still working on that. We have a few people in mind. We always keep who we've been with at the top of our list.
Sure.
But we don't want it to be the end all be all. So
sure. Especially
now that, you know, we're going in fresh, you know, it's still kind of up in the air, but yeah, whoever it's going to be with, you know, it's going to be well worth it. We're not going to find someone just to force it out, but
no, exactly.
Make that a good decision.
And you want to find somebody that, you know, kind of understands the band and can be able to translate it onto tape, right? You know, so to speak, you know what I mean? So you want to, you know, like they're almost like the sixth member or whatnot, you know, you just want somebody to come in there and just feel natural and not like be the pressure of, you know, because there's probably I don't know. You could probably tell me different if there's any pressure, because I know there's a lot of pressure on that second record, the follow-up record, right? I don't know, as far as like a debut LP, I don't know if there's more pressure, or what do you think in regards to the first record and the second? I know you guys released an EP, but this is your first full length signed to a label. Is there pressure there, or is there, you know, will there be more pressure on that second one?
Is
that too far? Or is that too far an advanced question?
No, and it's a matter of age for me. You know, I feel like if we were 15 years ago, I would be much more nervous. But it doesn't, I guess it doesn't disorient me the way that it would have, you know, when we were younger. But no, I'm not too worried about that. But just to backtrack a second, how you were saying, you know, this being a follow-up, our last batch of songs that we did and we did Surrounded with Mack from the Wonder Years. I've worked with a lot of people, and especially people who I've kind of grown up knowing throughout our music scene, but I've never really had such a easygoing time recording than I have with Matt, while still trying to get the best out of me.
Sure.
Like, I've worked with people where they're like, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again.
Yeah.
And it really is it's just a matter. Yeah. It's just a matter of, I think you got a better one in you, you know, and it's just stuff like that. But, yeah, in terms of for what comes next, I don't know. You know, I haven't really thought about that decision on who I'd be most comfortable with for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you still got time to figure it out. I think, you know, what's more important is getting the songs together and getting everything ready and going to the studio, right? Because you don't want to go in the studio, burn a bunch of time and try to, you know, create the songs in the studio, because time is money, money is time, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, you guys got some time to figure it out. And, you know, it's probably not coming this year, right? It's probably coming like early next year, because if you're going to, you know, set some time around, you know, recording and still, you know, if you got half the catalog and, you know, you're still working on some stuff, I'm sure it's going to be a little while. But you guys plan on releasing more songs in the interim kind of a deal as they're done, or what's the thought process beyond that?
I think at this point we're waiting to get the full length out. In terms of how that gets, you know, disseminated once it's done and ready, I don't know. We might do another single or two. but I don't know. There are a lot of different ways to do that, especially with the way that all the algorithms work for the different sites and everything. So,
sure. So let's go back. You said you were in a band prior to before this one, and when did you start? Let's go back to the beginning with you as far as knowing that you wanted to be into music and being a singer. And I love your voice, and I don't know how you find your voice and doing bands and all that kind of stuff, because it's such a unique, punk style voice, but still singing your brains out. And that's what I love, like the mix of your music. It's like it's hard, but then it's so melodic at the same time, and you have that authentic scream and that authentic yell. So as a kid, when did you always want to be a singer, or is it just something you defaulted back to? And when did everything start for you and your love for music?
So I kind of always wanted to be front and center in a performance type of setting, which is ironic because in most of my real life, I'm like, nah, I'll Irish goodbye,
Yeah. I did that for the first time a couple of weeks ago. It was amazing.
It's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
I kind of make it a statement at at shows, and this is just throwing out secrets here. I will pick if we close the show, or if I have to be home because of timing or whatever.
Sure.
I'll pick one person and I'll say, "You're the only person I'm saying bye to," and then I'm a ghost.
That's awesome. No, that's awesome. No, I've heard about my brother-in-law is famous for it. He always at the end of the night, they live up in Atlanta. We'll go up every Memorial Day and have a lot of good times and all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the night, he'd be like, "You need another drink?" Be like, "Yeah, I need another drink." He's like, "All right." And then he goes right to bed, and he never gives you your drink. So you're waiting around for like 45 minutes for a drink. You're like, "Where the hell is this guy?" And he's like mouth breathing in his bed. I'm like, "Oh crap." So he's been doing that to me for like years. And then I finally got him back this past Memorial Day, and I Irish goodbye him. It was awesome. I just left and just went to bed. That's so funny. All right, so let's get back to so you always wanted to be the front of kind of. So go ahead.
I've always wanted to do that. My mother sang a lot when I was a child, so I went with her to her singing lessons. She kind of influenced me a lot in that. And then I learned that I wanted to become a performer because of Michael Jackson. Simply put, I don't know. I saw the Thriller video and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do that.
Yeah, sure.
And the older I got, the more into music I got, and that's where my father came in. There was a station here when I was a kid called Y100 in the Philadelphia area. And it was all of the 90s and alternative music from that time. And it was everything. So that had a huge influence on me in terms of what I wanted to do music wise, how I learned to sing, how I taught myself to sing. Then once I became a teenager, I met other people who also played music, and it kind of went from there, and joined a crappy punk band here or there, and did a couple attempts at some other things until through a mutual friend I met Justin, and we were involved in a band back in 2005 called Bangarang, who actually did a split with the Wonder Years.
Wow.
And after that band disbanded in 2008, me and Justin just kind of floated around, just doing whatever. And then I met Jason. He was forming a band called Run For It, and their singer just up and left. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot. I had never met him before. He found my number through a mutual contact, I guess, and just sent me a random text, and I've known him ever since. So
wow,
we were in Run For It till about 2013. Justin was our third drummer at that point for the last year or so. Yeah. And then, after that, after Run For It was done, life kind of got in the way for all of us. And 2019 rolls around and we found ourselves in the same barn, making music again.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And what were some of your bands when you first started discovering, punk rock and emulating? Was it the Green Days and the Offsprings, or was it, Black Flag and Fugazi, or is it,
So given my general 90s
sure.
music appreciation, yeah, it was Radio Green Day, Radio
Sure.
Offspring. And now I'm an elder millennial, so I don't, to me, Nimrod is Green Day's last album.
Yeah,
That's it.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that for sure.
And Offspring, I've always loved. They're a great band. But in terms of getting into heavier music, I was really involved in hardcore. But then in terms of punk rock, I listened to almost exclusively Boy Sets Fire
Nice.
and Propaganda. So those are probably two of my biggest punk rock influences if I had to throw labels around like that.
Yeah, I got into Boy Sets Fire like years after they broke up and split up, and then they put out a record. God, I forget the name of the record, but they put out a
Misery
record.
Index?
What's that?
Misery Index?
No. They had Telephone Call. There's a song called Telephone Call.
Oh yeah. I think it's self-titled. I think it's a self-titled.
Yeah, might have been self-titled, but I think that might have been like their last record that they put out.
Yeah.
And I got to them late, but I was like, holy crap, I slept on this band. And I would always like see CDs of Boy Sets Fire everywhere. When I was in radio, we used to always see these Boy Sets Fire, and I'm like, I never listened to it. And then I heard that one song that they had a video for from their last record. I'm like, holy crap, this is freaking amazing. And I started listening to their back catalog. I'm like, I slept on that band hardcore. And have a true appreciation. And I love what, Nathan Gray is doing with the Iron Roses right now. I don't know if you're a big fan of that, but it's really good stuff. And what he's done with that band is really killer. So that's really cool that not a lot of people say Boy Sets Fire, but that's awesome.
Yeah. In my eyes, that Nathan Gray does no wrong. I've had a lot of people, especially now with him with the Iron Roses, just kind of give me the, like, what do you think about that? What do you think about that? I'm like, he's doing what he's always done.
Sure.
He is being the most himself that he can be. That's all he's ever done. There's nothing, just because it visually looks different doesn't mean that it is. He's still Nathan Gray. It's being punk rock.
Still Nathan Gray. It's still punk rock. It's still awesome. It's, it's in the veins of Against Me, and that I picked that up a lot. I just love that. I love what he's doing. It doesn't matter, anything else extracurricular that's going on. It's him, as an artist, and he's got a whole crew of people behind him, and it's just it's a great, incredible record, debut record from the Iron Roses. Really love that band. But that's really cool that you like Boy Sets Fire too, because I like I said, I slept on them for a while, and there's another band that I slept on, As Friends Rust. Like I've heard of them for years, and then I discovered them back in like the mid 2000s. I'm like, I totally slept on this band, and they're like one of my favorite bands now. And now they're making new music, so it's so funny how sometimes you can sleep on a band and then come back and revisit their old stuff, and it's just like brand new stuff to you. I don't know if you have any bands like that, but
absolutely. As Friends Rust is definitely one of the bands where every time I've heard them, I'm like, yeah, this is great. And I'm like, I always like, it's one of those perpetual sleep. And I'm like that with so many bands anyway, especially bands that I should be listening to, who I'd probably love.
Right. Yeah, it's weird, man. It's circular. I guess that's the term for it or whatever. But all right, so let's get into some of these songs, because I want to talk about the brand new song, Surrounded. I absolutely love the song, and what I do is I take a couple notes. Not that I'm a musician per se, so I'm not gonna talk about the technical aspect of it, because I don't know what the fuck the technical aspect of it. But I'm gonna tell you as a fan what I think and what I like and all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
Now, as far as this Surrounded, I got a lot of Lagwagon vibes. I love the harmonies at the end. It just sounds it's incredible. Like I love the way that you're singing it. Can you talk about this song and kind of what it's about, and When you write lyrics, are they a personal or are they just kind of generic and you just fit it towards the song?
So this was actually, I think, the third song that we ever wrote as a band back in 2019. So if there's any song that's kind of shown, I guess, how much we've grown, it's this song. Because we've changed it so many times at this point, but not in any way that's unrecognizable, but
sure.
And in terms of, this song personally, this is one of the few songs where I've directly written it about myself. And a lot of where it comes from is, I guess, holding in guilt and depression and anxiety and not wanting to burden anybody with either that knowledge or the need to help.
Sure.
And I'm definitely one of those people where I don't really consider myself a people pleaser, but I don't really want to make anybody's day harder. Like I don't want to I don't want to bother anybody with my BS, but that's part of the problem. So the other aspect of that is I try to put an external into that where it's like, well, just know I'm there, just know someone's there, and sometimes that's all that someone needs is to know that someone's there, whether they are or not physically.
Sure.
Feeling naked and exposed, and no one knows how red faced you feel. All your cards on the table, but you wouldn't give to just turn off the constant wave of attention when you're surrounded. When you're surrounded. When you're surrounded, one look and I know not okay. Don't take my hand, don't hear my words. No one there.
I guess that's pretty much my overall for that is.
Yeah, is it almost like therapeutic? When you're writing it, is it when it's personal? Is it, do you criticize the words or the way it's put out a little bit more than you would if it wasn't personal? You're just writing about something that you're seeing on TV. Is it like you want to make a statement and say everything that you can say in a song, or do you leave some for the imagination, or how do you go about it when it comes to the difference between a personal song and a song that's not personal to you?
So songs that are personal to me, I still, from a structural standpoint, I try to treat them the same way. I really try not to let that, I guess, cloud the scope of how I'm trying to have the song sound. I guess, for example, we have a song that will be on the upcoming album. It's called Only Children, and it's about my cousin who served, and unfortunately, he took his life.
Sorry to hear that.
And it is very personal to me, but I really, you can't let that get in the way of how it's going to sound, because if it's built right, that emotion will come through naturally. And
Sure.
I notice that when we perform it, because I hear how the chorus sounds. I hear how certain things that I say, it's one of those where there are some times where I feel like I'm looking out at myself, like, you mean this, you're meaning what you're saying. You're not just saying something you wrote.
Right. Yeah.
And I try to keep a lot of that. But there are times where that's not what I want to write about.
Sure.
And I don't know how.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you don't want to have them all personal, and then I'm probably just mentally exhausted at the end of a gig because all these songs are super personal. You know what I mean? Like, it would just like every night, you know, it's like constantly beating it down, like, re-talking about or rethinking about the same issues that you're writing about in the songs, kind of a deal. And it's good to switch it up, and you know, it makes it more personal. And you know, it with your vocals and the way that you sing in your, a lot of the choruses, you could tell it's personal. You could tell you know, there's emotion behind it. It's just incredible. And like, you take your voice to a different, like, octave. I don't even know what the term is, but just think, when I think you're going here, you take it up one more step. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's the way I listen to it. And it's a nice surprise, because I'm like, you know, not a lot of singers can do that. They usually stay in that mid range. Like, you hit that, you take it to another level, and that's why I like about a lot of your songs, because you go with that.
I'm trying.
Extra.
I'm trying not to write myself in a corner anymore.
Yeah.
It can be tough, but I try not to overexert myself.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a song on here we're going to talk about that I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't know how you perform it vocally, because you're just like screaming through the whole thing, but it works. I'm talking about the sound. It's like it's like that heavy, this is the song that reminds me of, like, very Rise Against-ish, and one of my favorite bands, early Rise Against stuff. And just how it's so aggressive. It's probably one of the heaviest songs, you know, vocally and musically. Let's talk about that song, I guess, while we're talking about it. So talk to us about the sound.
So that's a perfect example for post-COVID Twentytwo. You know, we had just gotten a different guitar player. We kind of just had that oomph again. And that was a song that kind of got reworked a little bit. It sounded completely different. But it was one of those occurrences, and I'll never forget this, where, like I said, we practice in a barn, and it is, you know, so it's a barn setting. It's an amazing place. There's mosaics all over the wall. It's beautiful.
That's awesome.
And they were kind of about to give up on the song, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go out. I got to go to the bathroom anyway, so I'm gone maybe 2 minutes, and I come back, and it's a completely different song, and it is the song that is out. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I'll just leave now from now on.
Get this started. Tell me what's the plan. I miss the sound, I miss the feeling. A big word. Everyone around us is singing every single word. I can hear the chorus now, and it's always on my mind. Tell me, how long has it been? Far too long for me to stand. For me too.
But
yeah,
with that song, it really felt like a hurdle for us. It really felt like we accomplished getting over the first stages of this whole pandemic. And it was kind of our, like, we're not giving up. We're not giving up. We don't know where we're going, but we're not giving up, and we're going to go from here. And that's kind of what the lyrics are too. You know, I miss going to shows. I miss seeing my friends. I miss being around people, singing the same songs. Let's go.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that song. It's definitely one of those, like, hits you right in the face when you first start listening to it. I love it. And then let's talk about Big Feeling. You had a music video out for this, and this song, I'm not gonna lie. I had a couple beers. Well, I always have a couple beers, but there was one night I had a couple more than I should have, and I listened to this song. And I'm gonna pull it up here because I wrote a couple notes, but this song, to me, it gets to me for some reason. Take on the world just like everyone else does until it's time to come home, and I always come home. Like at the very end of that song, it's just like, holy fuck! That's like, you know, an anthem. It's like anthemic. It is such a, you know, you get a big feeling from listening to that song, pun intended. Let's talk about Big Feeling and the thought process and what that song's all about.
So the early stages of Big Feeling goes back to our bass player Brian's wedding, where he kind of talked to all of us and he's like, I have a song idea. I'm writing it about my wife. I'm like, oh, great. Okay. Cut to a little while later, he brings it up at practice. The guys end up jamming it out. We end up writing it, and he lets me know. He's like, I want this to, reflect how I feel about my wife. And I said, okay. I said, I'm going to write it about someone you love, to that effect. So, and I wanted it to mean something for everyone, and when I wrote the words, I sent it to him. He's like, love it. I'm like, okay, great. So as long as I had his seal of approval, I'm like, all right, we're good to go off to the races. And then once we recorded it and it came out, we did the video for it. It really started to fall into place. Like, okay, we can really do this again. Like this is really this is where we can be, and we can make this bigger. But going back to the song, to me, and I mentioned earlier that one of the songs was about my son, and it is Big Feeling. But yeah, it's one of those songs where every time I sing it, certain parts I'm like, I gotta keep it together. Don't want to have a dad moment on stage.
Telling you, man, like I said, I was overserved one night, and I put that song on, and I think it might have been around the time Brian and I were talking, and he had actually sent me the new song and wanted to know what I thought about it, and I was like, oh man, I need to revisit some of the other songs too, and it was just one of those nights where I'm like, had the headphones on, it's all dark in the room, and just doing stuff, working or whatever. I'm like, holy fucking, that's such a powerful freaking song, dude. And it's just like something that's memorable and something that you can sing at. I think that's going to be one of your mainstays as far as performing. That's what I see in my eyes. You could probably feel different about, but it for some reason I'm a big fan of that song. I'm a fan of everything that you guys are doing, but that song right there really hits home for me, lyrically and musically. So job well done.
Thank you. I love hearing that. It's exactly what I wanted. So I think what you got out of it is exactly what I wanted. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, mission accomplished, man. Mission accomplished. You're good there.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. Especially with that song. I kind of stopped wanting to play it for a little bit. Strictly because, like I said, I wrote myself into a corner. It's very hard to sing. But
yeah.
No, so I'm finding ways to get it back into the set. Thankfully, we've actually had two of our friends cover it live. One, our friend,
really?
Yeah, our one friend, Hello Tony on Instagram. She did a rendition of it, and then our friend's dear friend, they did a version of it as well that they're going to continue to do as well. So awesome. If anybody else wants to cover it, send it our way.
I'll get the piano out. I'll start learning it on piano. Yeah, and,
there you go.
I'll tickle the ivories and just figure it out myself. Now I haven't played piano in like 20 years, so it would be a fucking train wreck if I tried to do it. But all right, so let's talk about Inside Outside. I love the intro. I love the build up. I love the chorus. I love the heavy lyrics, and that scream right before the bridge of that song is just the hookiest of all hookiest. I love it. Let's talk about Inside Outside.
So that is a song that I kind of wrote a little bit, but not a little bit about myself. It's kind of a little bit of a both, a little bit of don't really know what I'm saying. But no, that was just another instance of, you know, holding things in, you know, and telling somebody, don't worry about me. You know, it's all in here. You don't got to see any of it. But again, just knowing who to turn to, it's all that matters. If you don't have someone to turn to, you got to find someone. There's always someone.
Every hidden breath I take it in, 7 minutes I'm dying in. I'm self-doubt, I can't seem to get my head out to see the sun. Please keep on smiling. It's the only thing that makes life worth living. So where is your head? It only hurts on the inside when it all comes to it, and I will be here waiting outside.
Yeah, I mean, it reigns true ever since, you know, the pandemic. I think things are more elevated as far as mental health and, you know, and making sure everybody's okay. And, you know, people go to dark places when they've got nothing to do and time to kill. So, you know, it's just one of those things where, you know, you definitely want to get that message out there and give people hope, kind of a deal, and let people, figure it out for themselves as far as what they're hearing in their headphones or at a show or whatnot. But, you know, it's definitely those type of songs are you know, therapy. You know, it's one of the reasons why I've been in music, and I haven't seen a shrink, but I probably should see a shrink. But I've got music, you know, to you know, it's my therapy. You know, I listen to Scott. I listen to everything, depending on my mood, right? So if you're in a bummy mood, I listen to real slow jam stuff or whatever, and when I'm like pissed off, I listen to fucking death metal. You know, it all depends on you know, the atmosphere when the mood strikes, I guess. I don't know.
I hear you. But with going further into with Inside Outside, talk about therapy. That song was a eye-opening moment for me and Justin from a vocal standpoint. Because at that point, when we wrote that song, Justin always wanted to be like, "Hey, let me get some vocals." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, help me out. I can do it all in the recording. I can't do it all live."
Right.
So me and him really started, you know, kind of working on that very, very, very seriously, and especially with Inside Outside, I think that was kind of a big payoff for us. So every time we perform that, I know there's always a moment where me and him, we lock eyes. We're like, we got this.
Yeah.
Because you got to be on, and, you know,
Sure.
Both of us, we're not choir boys, so we're just trying to figure it out in a punk rock band, you know, trying to make it sound good.
Yeah, no, absolutely, no doubt. So let's talk about shows and all that kind of stuff. And I want to, before I start talking about the shows that you got coming up, I think Bryan sent me the link to when you guys opened up for Shelter and Civ.
Yeah. That was awesome.
That was insane, because I love both those bands, and he had told me that you guys got that gig. Let's talk about it. And I watched your set via YouTube. It was it looked like an incredible place, really great quality show, you know, as far as video and stuff. It was really awesome. Let's talk about that show and how you got connected with those guys. That's amazing.
So that show came about and was very stressful for us because it was one of those shows where we're like, okay, we know we have this show, but we didn't know who was going to be on it. You know, we just kind of knew we were going to be on it, or, you know, we were in line for it. And then the moment we found out that it was Shelter and Civ, our heads exploded.
Yeah, I would say so.
You know, I was a big Civ fan back way after they were done. And unfortunately, I'm not, you know, that old, but that's a terrible thing to say. But no, I was a big Civ fan. Shelter, I gave time to in due time before the show, and I learned to appreciate the hell out of that band. And live was amazing.
Were they? Yeah.
It was a lot of fun live. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I'm like, I didn't even know Shelter was even playing anymore. And I know that there was Values here. I know
They were
Porcel
great.
is in Porcel is in that band now. And you know they played that gig, and it I mean Civ and Shelter, it's just like 90s are coming right back, and there's like two bands I never thought would ever get back together and play shows.
Yeah.
And when he sent me that flyer, I was like, holy crap, dude, this is freaking awesome. I'll fly up there for that shit. But they'll never come down to Orlando or any of that kind of crap, and that's kind of one of those things. But no, that's awesome, man. Did you guys have a good time? Did you guys take a lot
Yeah,
of pictures
that
and get
was.
to meet those guys, or no? You just opened up.
Yeah, so especially around like the line for merch, and everyone was just kind of hanging out. You know, like I said, being the Irish goodbye, I was just kind of doing my own thing, being the observer. But yeah, everybody was so friendly. It was one of those times where I felt like, yeah, this is what I should be doing. This is where I should be. This is everything I wanted. This is this is everything I wanted to do for this. So here, I had a great time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, you might pinch yourself like, all right, like we just opened up for them. Like okay, yeah, we're right in the wheelhouse where we're right where we need to be, and that's a really good feeling to have. I've had that many a times, and there's nothing better, man. Like you're like, yep, just did it. It's all good, and try to move on and not get a big head about it or any of that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I would be driving home and going like, being all giddy like a little schoolgirl, like if that was me and I was performing in front of, my favorite bands and stuff. So that's really awesome. Sorry. So let's talk about these shows that are coming up. You've got a couple of them. You got This Is Hardcore pre-show with Koyo and Anxious. Let's talk about this gig.
Yes.
Yeah, this is gonna be a big one. There's a lot of different bands on this bill, right? And they're playing at we're at in Phoenixville.
So it's being played at the Phoenixville Polish Club, which is kind of been a second home to myself in terms of like playing shows.
Cool.
It was a big place a few years back. Our guitarist Jason actually helped build the stage that every band plays on there. And this show came about because of the Shelter and Civ show. We ended up talking to the people involved putting the show on, and we were able to. They were like, well, we have this, and you guys would be perfect for it. So awesome. Like, okay, let's do it. And so we made sure to keep following up and everything, and it's been smooth. It's been great. I'm very excited to play this show. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of Koyo and what they're doing. I've heard of Anxious before and some of the other bands I haven't really heard of, but I'm definitely going to investigate. I'm one of those guys that, like, if I see you're on the bill or bands that I know, that I've helped promote, like I'll look at all those other bands and be like, all right, do they have song? Do they have a music video? Is it good? Is it not? Well, one, I'm always like trying to figure it out. But that's so cool. There's a lot of bands on that bill, and it should be a good time. All right, so the next one is with the Dopamines, August 11th at the Kung Fu Necktie Bar. That is probably my favorite name of a bar, is the Kung Fu Necktie Bar. I'm not gonna lie. Let's talk about that. It's a really cool place. Yeah, we've played there a handful of times, and it's always been at this point it's like an at-home experience. It's sure. Small and intimate, but yet it's a total punk rock vibe, and it's perfect. So that's awesome. Of all the times that we've played there, I think this might be like the perfect, the perfect show for it.
Yeah.
Especially with the Dopamine. So that's going to be a plus.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, all right, so those are the ones that I know. So what's the plan as far as, I know you guys are working on the new record, all that kind of stuff. And once the new record's out, is there, is it a little bit too early to tell whether or not you guys are going to do like, a 3-week run or 2-week runs, up the coast, down the coast, or well, you guys are kind of the Midwest, but
a little too early to tell. At this point we're trying to get our heads in shape to really get everything written and ready. But I don't want it. It's not out of our scope. at all.
Yeah. And just do shows here and there until you can, get that record out.
Yeah.
Deal, and just stay active and stay busy. Is that kind of the goal?
Yeah. We're, if a good, good shows come along, we'll talk about it. We're not going to say no. So it all depends. But yeah, right now our focus is definitely writing, getting everything set and ready to go for the album.
That's awesome. And would if you could have a crystal ball and like tell people, what to look forward to as far as the debut LP, any surprises, any kind of insights as far as what you guys are working on, and what can people expect as far as what they've heard so far, and what they can expect, more screaming and more catchy choruses. That's what I want.
Yeah, I mean, if everything that's been coming out recently is holding everybody's ears, it's definitely what we're going for. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But when it works, and we're going to use it if it works.
That's badass. That's awesome, man. Well, Tony, thank you so much for joining the podcast. I really appreciate it, man. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of your band, what you guys are doing. I wish you had nothing but luck and success on recording that new record. And obviously, I'm going to order it as soon as it's available. Are you guys going to do vinyl for it, or is that too early to tell? Or
I think that is in the cards.
Okay, cool.
And I think that's as much as I can say.
That's all good. No, it's cool. I asked that personally because I've got an addiction that I've got to feed, so I had to ask you. So.
Yeah, well, I can tell you about addictions. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because you're into comics, right? So what you're a big collector as far as the comics are.
Yeah.
What's
behind my laptop
favorite?
here, I have about 8 or 9 long boxes just full of stuff. Bunch of graphic novels. I got 2 cases here. I'm a big DC guy, a little bit of Marvel here and there, an Image,
sure.
But yeah, I'm trying to build a library of all DC.
Oh, are you? Yeah,
the whole
nice.
timeline.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. No,
It's
that's awesome.
It's a feat, If I knew how to use Excel, I would be using it to help me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's I just started collecting over the pandemic, and I have over 3,000 CDs and stuff. I've always been a collector of CDs and music and stuff, but I got into vinyl because I ordered a shirt from one of my favorite bands, and it came with a vinyl. And then I got the vinyl, and I'm like, well, this is pretty freaking awesome. Like, I got a big thing, and it came with a poster and everything. I'm like,
who was it?
Maybe I should look. Orange 9mm.
Okay.
Kind of, it's Shaka from Burn. He was in a hardcore band called Burn as well. But Shaka was in like this in the 90s. It was a rap metal punk kind of band. And they used to tour with Korn and Deftones back in the day. And
nice.
Really killer band that I followed for many years. They broke up years ago. But the guitar player for that band is now the guitar player for Gavin Rossdale and Bush. He's now in Bush.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's funny.
The lead guitarist was in Orange 9mm, and one of my favorite bands growing up. And so I got the shirt. I just wanted an Orange 9mm shirt, and I got the vinyl, and I was like, all right, this is freaking awesome. And so I was like, oh, what Lagwagon? Do they have vinyl? I'm like, oh, bam, 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 and it's like the 25th anniversary, and I'm like, ah, shit. And then next thing you know, I have like, all these things behind me a year and a half later, and my kids can't go to college because I've got an addiction, so it's
I sadly understand.
Yeah, college is overrated. They'll learn. Tony, it's so glad to talk to you, man. Thank you so much for like I said again, for joining the podcast. And we'll do it up and keep me posted on everything. 22. If where can people find your music as far as the interwebs, and what's the best way to get a hold of you guys if people are looking for you?
So the quickest and easiest is our Instagram. It's 22.punkrock, and that's 22 spelled out. 22.punkrock on Instagram.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Tony, good luck. Tell Bryan and everybody else I said what's up, and I'll be looking out for some more music, and keep doing what you're doing, man. Appreciate it.
Good deal, Brad. Thank you so much.
All right, man. See. All right, thanks, dude. Appreciate it, man.
Good deal. That was fun.
Yeah. Like it's short and sweet, to the point. But the only problem is like I noticed like there's a glitch. Like I can't tell if it's my video.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're kind of like behind, and it's kind of. I will check it. It sounds great. You sounded great. But I just want to make sure.
Was that like just pausing at random spots and shit?
Yeah, and like the little ticker. I don't know if you noticed the ticker. It's going kind of like, where it says Tony Connor of 22. It's kind of like going clickety clickety clickety. It normally just runs like a ESPN, and it's kind of weird. But I think we should be fine. We should be good. But there's always some kind of issue here and there. There's been times where I forgot to put my microphone on. And I've been using my laptop microphone, and I sound like I'm in the bathroom. I've done that before. There
was an interview I did where it was through Zoom, and you only used Zoom once prior to this, throughout the whole pandemic. I never used it.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't know how I got away with that, but for 45 minutes of the hour and so interview, I didn't have my camera on, and because I just saw them. And
right.
They were talking to me, and I'm like making references and blah blah blah, and we're talking, and I'm like, yeah, you see all this? And they're like, no. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, your camera's not on. I thought it was like a choice. I'm like, no.
Oh man,
fucking asshole! Like, come on.
Was this your job? Was it your day job, or what kind of?
No, it was for something like this.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, it was an audio podcast, so it didn't matter.
Right? Yeah.
But still, I was like, I feel like a jerk. You guys didn't see any of this.
That's funny. Yeah. Oh, God bless it. I hate. I'm always nervous after I get the the video. I send it to my phone, and then I gotta download it to my phone, and I gotta see the quality. And there's been times where I'm like, oh motherfucker, I fucking didn't put my mic on, or whatever, or there's a button here on this program, this StreamYard thing that I do, and if you don't click it, it sounds like there's a click in it. It's and so if I don't press that button, and it's so integral to this that I sound like I do on my end. You'll be fine, but it's just the quality, and I'm like, God damn it, I'm never gonna succeed. But you do what you gotta do. You know what I mean? No one's watching, but that's what I gotta think in my head. No one's watching, but it's all good, man. It's all
the millions of viewers. You just have to do the total opposite.
Yeah. I just blew it in front of fucking 5 million viewers.
Blew it.
Yeah, no. Well, Tony, man, thank you so much. I'm gonna let you go. I know you're a dad. I'm a dad. We could put the kids to sleep and all that good stuff. But happy Father's Day, man.
Thanks, man. You too.
For all you do, man. Yeah, definitely, man. We'll touch base soon. All right.
Yes, I'll be happy to come back anytime.